Hello and welcome to our Sunday webinar. We have a very, very special guest today. She's an author and she's a certified life balance coach. Born in Belarus, she traveled to England to complete her studies. She's lived and worked in Switzerland, UAE, China, and the Bahamas. Her interest in human psychology and life philosophies, together with a first-hand experience in meeting people from different cultures, has led her to believe that no matter where we come from, we are all connected. We have similar challenges, feelings, and emotions. This is what her first novel is all about, which we will talk about today as well. Tatsiana lives in India with her husband and Patches, their furry friend. She spends most of her time working and volunteering with various NGOs, organizing charitable and social events. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for the lovely introduction as well.
Most welcome. Do you remember the first time we connected? This was like before COVID?
Yes, in charity when we did.
Yeah. So a friend of mine said, oh, you want to do this? I'm like, sure. And then he connected back with you and I think you told him, oh, I already know him. He's from Instagram. And we were already connected on Instagram. We just didn't know each other. So that was awesome. I remember. So it was an amazing, amazing day.
That's when I love social media. It does connect you with nice people, you know. Not everything is good about social media, but this part is amazing because you get to meet and you get to connect, you get to follow each other, and then voila, you're having an interview together. So you just never know.
Absolutely. And before we get into the book, which I've read and it's amazing, let's go backwards and say, where did this all start? So is there a beginning point for you in life when it all began?
About the writing the book itself, I think it was always a dream. I always wanted to do it as long as I remember myself. When my father was still with us, I remember coming to him at the age of maybe 17, and I said, Father, I really want to publish a book, not to write a book, but to publish. I was very ambitious, you know, right away. So he said, this is great. And, you know, he was supporting me fully, but he said, are you sure? Because you're 17. Like, imagine reading the same, like whatever you've written 10 years later on. Are you going to be okay with your thoughts? Maybe something will change. I said, fine. I think you're right. I need to grow up and then I'll write a book. And then as time passed, I was telling people I want to write a book. I think everybody who knows me for the past 10 years, they know I wanted to write a book, just never did. I think I was waiting to grow up and that didn't happen. So right now I just said, okay, fine, I'm just doing it. And then in 10 years, if I don't agree with what I said, well, so be it, you know, because I don't think we'll ever grow up. I don't think we'll ever be ready for that. So, but I did my best. I promise you that much.
That's so true. And, you know, it talks so much deeply about how a human mind works. And you, in your introduction, we spoke about how you've connected with different kinds of people and enhanced or evolved yourself. So tell us a little bit about that. Maybe there's a few situations in life that kind of helped you go into the whole idea about psychology and life coaching.
Well, I've been living in many countries. I studied in England and Switzerland, and I worked in China, in UAE, and then in the Bahamas for 6 years. And later on, I moved to India as well. And what I realized, one thing, though everything is so different, the food is different, culture is different, but people deep inside are very similar. You know, everybody wants to be happy. Everybody has excuse for everything in life, and pretty much excuses are also very similar. The desire to be happy is the same. I think there must be some universal truths, you know, in the world that what makes us happy, and there are ways to achieve that. And as a mental health therapist or probably life coach, you also know that. And you know the struggle that people, I think our mind is just so great, we can do it. It's just, there's certain things we don't allow ourselves to achieve ourselves. So the responsibility goes right back at us. So that's what I discovered. And people are very different. And I remember I worked with someone who was doing a course in life coaching, and that lady, she asked me, do you want to be coached? I had no idea what it was, and the first question I think she asked me, she said, what's your purpose in life? And I said, who asked that kind of question? That's ridiculous. Nobody talks like this. Nobody asked this question. But I realized later on, and of course, I got into coaching so much and it helped me so much through life. And of course, I studied later on as well, because it is true. We need to know more about ourselves. We need to take the time to discover what is the excuse, what is the challenge, what is the solution, and not everything together, because together it's just too much. It's overwhelming.
Right. Absolutely. And, something which, I'm going to pick something from the book as well, and it connects back is life is going to go up and down like this. It's going to happen. People keep on saying, and what we expect is that, oh, all my issues should go away, but that's not going to happen. That will always be there. Those will come, because that's free will of life to send the issues to you. What we control is how we feel, and then how we react to how we feel, which the emotions that we carry and the actions from it. And then in that up and down, we have the straight line that we need to maintain, that no matter how much happiness comes or sadness comes, we are just like going in a very straight, purposeful life, like you just said, and be very clear that we need to just keep moving forward, no matter, and doesn't matter what we choose in life. You can be an engineer, you can be an army professional, you could be a homemaker, you could be a restaurateur. So any of those things eventually lead to one place, that to be good at anything, you need to be able to control your emotions, which doesn't mean stop them, because I keep on hearing control and people say, do you need to stop? I said, no, nothing to do with stop. It's like a dam. You focus the water in the right way to where it needs to go, rather than just letting me free flow and being wasteful for everybody. So that's how I see it. What do you think?
No, I absolutely agree. I think it's the turbulence in life that shakes us and shapes us in different directions. But then if you know who you are, if you accept yourself for who you are as well, and of course, try to be a better version of yourself every day, nothing outside can shake you. So you will be pretty much a straight line as you described, and everything else will not be, you will not be going to extremes, because extreme happy and extreme sad is just not great for anyone. That's probably called bipolar, whatever you want to call it medically. But
right.
What I mean, like you just, because, and I think noticing happiness also in everyday life, it's a big challenge, because people are waiting for this like big thing that will happen to them, and from there on they'll be happy, they'll live happily ever after. But
right.
That doesn't happen either. Or people sometimes wait to meet someone and they say, oh, once I'm going to get married and I'll meet that person whom I love and I'm going to be happy from there on. And then they're like, well, that's not such a happy thing. Happily ever after, but what is after? And if you don't know who you are, if you don't find joy in other things around you, I think nobody else can make you happy, as well as nobody can really make you sad, and nobody can really make you miserable for the rest of your life, whether it's your parents, grandparents, or caretaker, or whoever was there for you when you were a child. So
right.
I'm not really into Freud's theories, as you can see.
No,
I appreciate
absolutely.
his work, but yeah.
By the way, I have the book too for everybody to know, and I read it page to from beginning to end in one go, and that rarely happens with me nowadays. It's been a brilliant book, and there's something that shows up there, and it's connected to what I was actually listening to Sister Shivani this morning, and she said something. Don't find joy in what you do. Do it with joy. And this is exactly what you are actually saying in the book as well, in the whole book, where you need to find, like you said, you find your own joy first. And when you do things with joy, you enjoy them even more immensely. Because none of those things are going to give us joy. Joy comes from within us. It's not something from outside that's going to come. Like there is no happily ever after outside. It's here. If I am happily ever after, it's happily ever after. If I'm not happily ever after, no matter who comes in, what shows up, I could get that perfect person who I imagine to be, and I'll still be unhappy and find that one thing that's missing in them. So,
that's true. It's what you believe, yes. It's how you convince, what you pay attention to, Sometimes it's easier to, of course, I mean, misery is comfortable and it's great. And, it's just such a good place, because if you hold somebody responsible for your unhappiness, it's like, you didn't do anything wrong, right? It's just somebody else who did. So, and like, when it comes to the book as well, I just wanted, I mean, I had tons of ideas, of course, but I wanted to take like the main, maybe the key, I don't want to call it sin, I don't want to call it a challenge, I don't know, maybe an excuse would be a good word that we use, or maybe an influence as well, because we, like the first chapter talks about the parenthood and how we always blame our parents. The second one is about relationships and how sometimes we just go for that perfect other person and realize that nothing is really perfect and nobody can make our life perfect. And the third one was about power and how easy we feel the importance and how fast we fall down also, because it's all the external factors if you think about it, and I just wanted to pinpoint what I've seen people struggle with the most, so, and I do hope my parents will appreciate reading the book. That I don't blame them.
I'm sure they will. And you said it so well. Our parents did what they felt was the right thing to do, and we use them as soft targets because, hey, what are they going to tell us? We are the kids, they'll listen to everything we have to say. At the same time, let's assume that our parents were the worst parents in the world. Let's just assume that for a second. Okay, you're here now, right? And yes, we are. You're at this age. What are you going to do about it now? Forget the parents, they're done. Their work is over. Okay, they messed up, big deal. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
So blaming anybody doesn't do anything at all. And it just goes, again, you saw it in 3 parts. I actually saw your book in 7 chakras, from tribal to control to then releasing to love, and then releasing to the largest part of, yes, this is me, this is oneness, and all that came up for me. So you divided in 3, I got it in all the 7, I guess, seeing it that way. So just amazing how it transcends. And I think everybody's journey in life is like that. So anybody who is saying, okay, I don't know what my purpose is, what should be my journey be? There is a beautiful book called LANA, Lana. You can get it and you can read it and you will get a good idea about it. So how much of the book is from you, or how much of you is in the book?
I think I've been through bits and pieces of it. I can't say like the whole thing is just me. Mainly when I did a lot of coaching, and I have a lot of friends all over the world as well, and a lot of people sharing their life journey. So I can't really take credit for all of this that happened in the book. I think I did steal somebody's lifeline somewhere along the way. But I think because I discovered we're all very similar. So when people tell me, I'm like, dude, just wake up. Like I've been through this last year, kind of thing. So maybe small things that happen, but not on a major scale. Of course, the book starts with the lady who wants to commit suicide. And I think this is like the way out for some people, unfortunately, before taking any action to improve anything. And I'm happy for my character that she made it okay eventually. And I know quite a lot of people who did have these thoughts, unfortunately.
Yes.
But they managed also to you just have to rewire yourself. I think you have to find those beliefs, those thoughts that will work for you, because society will tell you you're doing something wrong anyway, and you can get depressed any day. So just wait like before you do that. Like try something else before you go there, because there's no right or wrong in life. There's no right thing for a lady, for example, to pick a career only, and you'll be worthy only because you have a career, or only because you have children, or only because you have husband. It doesn't matter, because you cannot do it all. We have to realize that. But we have to do what makes us happy, and that make us happy has to come from you accepting that you cannot do it all. Like you just have to pick and choose what you want for yourself. I think that's very important point. But
right. No, absolutely. And especially with the last 2 years of lockdowns, there was a lot of emotional breakdown in people, and they were at different parts of, so I won't say everybody wanted to end their life, someone wanted to end their careers, someone wanted to end their relationships. And each of these things, they were coming out of the frustration of being cooped up. But if you really see it, the objective was not for you to exit from there. It's for you to understand that life will be like that. And now things can only get better. It can't get worse because now you're out in the open, you have new opportunities. How are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? And for me, uh, Lana is about people in three stages of life. First, if you have no idea what you're going to do, like you don't care, you're in the young stage, read the book because you'll understand what's coming up and how you can map it up properly. If you're lost with purpose and you're like, I don't know what my purpose in life uh, is being a mother being a purpose in my life, is being a stay-home father being a purpose in my life, or as a career purpose in my life with it. And third, people who are like, okay, I'm looking to exit. And I'm not just saying for life, like I said, for exit my job, exit my business, exit my marriage, exit my relationship. Read so that, and I got a lot of these thoughts from there. And it really helped with me with my therapies also, where I spoke to people based on the ideas I got from reading the book on, have you really thought this through completely? Are you sure that there are no options available? Because it may seem like exit is the only option, which you can do at any point of time, by the way. Yes, I can understand when things are extreme and you're going through really extreme issues, I get it. But before that, is there that one space where you can shift? Because once you shift, everybody else starts shifting. Uh, Again, a beautiful reality I heard from one of the monks is that she said that she had no intention of becoming a monk till her mother started meditating, and this was 25 years old. I have the same story till 2012, 13. I had no intentions of coming here, like what I'm doing. My dad used to keep on telling me, oh, be spiritual. I like, this is all nonsense. When I'm 60, I'll figure it out. But it just seeped in because he used to talk about it, not actively, but passively around me. It seeped into my life and it radiated out because what are you looking at? We're not looking at, oh, what's success? We're looking at how that person behaves after the success because we really want to ape that. I want what he does after he got success. The success is there, but the after effects of it. Is he more calm? Is she more calm? Is she more relaxed? Is she having fun? Is she enjoying her life? Is she getting angry less? Is there the change in confident? That's where I start looking at it. And this is what I saw through the book as Lana goes through her journey. It's not just what's happening around her, but how is she reacting in a situation that shifts everything. And that's extremely important for people to connect with. I saw my dad, he was radiating, so I started following him. Not directly, but indirectly, I just got into the whole deal. And whenever somebody comes to me, they don't ask me, okay, how many courses have you done? How are you the way you are, is what they ask. So I'm going to ask you the same question. How are you the way you are? Because I know you to be, so every time I've met you, any situation it might be, and I can see different things that are happening. There are a lot of stresses are, but you are able to manage it with a very smiling face and like, okay, no, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. How do you do that?
It's just what's gonna happen. Like you just have to let it go, I think. I don't know. I did struggle some time back with like public speaking or going on the interview, and I don't know, just the worst thing is when it comes to writing, by the way, it's the first, like if you write a paragraph or like sharing the idea about you wanting to write is easy, but then like showing just a little bit of your work is like the worst nightmare. You don't want anybody to see it, right? And then the first, like I started with like really short things. I couldn't even write on Instagram a post and everything. Now I write post on Instagram. Somebody's like, oh, there's like a mistake, like a spell check something, and sometimes the phone does something. I said, it's fine. I'll just correct it. I'm not paying attention. Okay, fine. What are you gonna think about me? What is the worst thing that's gonna happen? I wanted to. I'm not saying make mistakes on your social media. Try to avoid it as much as possible. But I'm saying it's not the end of the world. Nobody's trying to make you perfect. Nobody really cares. And as long as you past that stage and you allow other people to see. And like with the book, I just published it, and then when people came for the book launch and like signed the copies, I didn't want to make it such a big thing. I said, you know what, you asked me to sign the book, let me sign the book, let me just enjoy the moment. You just have to embrace what is happening. You don't have to say, no, I'm not good enough, no, it's just the first one. You're like, you know what, it is what it is, it's just happening. And yes, I wrote the book, you like it, I'm really grateful. You don't like it, I also understand that, because people have different tastes. Some people like to read something historical, and this is not a historical work. So I would understand that it can't be for everyone, but I do hope majority will enjoy as well. And one big thing that I realized also, nobody really cares, what you do. And it is for you, because if I write the book or I don't write the book, it's important for me only. And of course, I think I have some kind of insights and wisdom. I want to share it with the world. I do hope that it will help somebody, and I'm pretty sure it will. But do people around me really say, oh yeah, you must publish the book, oh it's great for you? No. If I don't publish the book, they'll still love me for who I am and probably focus on their own problems, not myself. So my thing is like, why don't I focus on me and do what I really want to do? And that was my dream. Dream came true. And right now and it's not like I feel like, oh my God, life is from now on is the best thing in the world. Like I'm a writer, I published my book, and from now on I'm super happy. No, I want to write more. I want more people to read it. I want to talk more about the book. I don't know what else I want. Maybe tomorrow something else will come up. But life is an action. It keeps on happening. It keeps on changing, and you should never stop. And you should never stop yourself because somebody else might think something else. Like whatever you might not like, whatever they think is their business. And half of the time they won't tell you. And especially good things, they don't say. How it is. So yes.
Absolutely. And this is what shows up in the book also, the way you're like, I am going to do this for my own happiness, for my own completion, without requiring the validation from the world. If the world enjoys what I do, which is what they say is for finding your own tribe of people who connect with what you're saying, so be it. And again, somebody said very nicely, if every day you're able to inspire just one person, just one, you've lived your life. So you divide your life by the number of days you've lived and the number of people have inspired. If you've done that well, that's all you ever actually need to do in life. And that's it.
But sometimes we don't know how many people we inspire, right?
Correct.
And we should never look for the result, for the outcome, and we should not really try to evaluate our own work. I think we should just do. And if you have a good intent, I think that's more than enough. Like you just want to do good for somebody else. You have the best intent, because sometimes it just works the opposite, and I don't know what happens, and people take it the wrong way as well. But if you do it with a good intent, you want to help, not to harm. You don't want to show off. You don't want to do it for financial gain or whatever. Even though selling my books would be a great thing. Like I'm not refusing that. It's on Amazon and everything. And yes, so there's a price tag to it. It's not free of charge. But at the same time, like, who am I to sit there and waiting for this big thank you from someone? Like, absolutely not. That's not why I wrote the book. I remember how it all started for me with the life coaching, because in the office where I worked and with people that I met throughout my life, one or the other would be talking about some big names, life coaches. And some people will just leave a book. Some people will gift you a book, and you never know which book would that be. So which will trigger something in you. And I do believe in books much more than the YouTube videos, of course. Though I did watch a lot, and of course a lot of coaching and a lot of life philosophies, but I think books is basics. And I love that copies, that you can hold in your hand. Though the online version will come out soon, but I do like the book, and I always wanted to hold one of mine in my hands as well. So, and I hope it's not the last one as well, because there's so much more to say about human beings. And but I have a question for you, because you're a life coach and a mental health specialist. You have a lot of clients who probably come to you with a lot of challenges. How effective you think books are? Does that really help, or is that like I read, get motivated, and forget about it?
So motivation is one step of it. So people, I saw it earlier to like you just said, read it and it's done and I forgot about it. No, there are parts of the book that will stay with me forever, because when I'm doing a session, suddenly it's like, this light flashes in the head, and takes me back to a paragraph in a book or a line in a book, and I'm quoting that line, and I'm feeling so awesome and amazing about it. And it just fits in. And as the client is talking, I'm able to understand what they're saying because of something I had read in the book. Now, this comes back, which I want to talk about a little bit later, but here's a perfect place for it. What we experience, what we read, what we watch, what we see, other people experiencing, eventually in the mind comes down to the same memory space. So the mind does not differentiate between anything. So when, let's say I haven't had an experience, but I read a book and it involves me completely and I feel the experience, it becomes mine. So it just easily flows out and it feels to people as if this happened to me. Actually it didn't, but that's how it feels. And it becomes, the coaching becomes more effective. The way I'm responding to somebody's questions becomes more effective. Targeting them becomes more effective. Like I said, I've already used your book a couple of times in my conversations with clients it's all, and it just flows in because, okay, so Solana's here, she was having this relationship challenge. Here is what she could do. It just flowed in. So I'm not talking purely from an academic perspective, so people shouldn't think it's like it's not a study book. It's actually a beautiful story. You just take that into your life and use it. We use it all the time, right? Not just academic books, but if you've read a storybook and you think about flowers and parks and gardens, suddenly you're like, okay, they talked about this location. That becomes my favorite location to go to. So it always helps.
Very nice. Very good. You use my book in your coaching. I'm very, very, very thrilled about that.
Absolutely. It just flows in. It's like not even trying. It's just naturally just coming into that space of the conversation. Now, I know I touched on it, but who do you think should read the book?
I think everyone. Ideally everyone. See, I also met a lot of people, different places, different ages, different nationalities. And we actually had a debate the other day with some of my friends saying, are people really so similar or are they very different? Like, what is that? That probably will go to my next book. I'm not too sure as yet, but it is a very global question, actually. And what I discovered, I think maybe we are very different in opinions, very different in ways of life, very different in our ambitions. But I think deep inside, when it comes to happiness itself and challenges like mental health, I think we are similar, much more than we are different. But because we are different in our judgment and our lifestyles and everything, some people just will not accept the books like that. Maybe they just don't want somebody to tell them what to do. Maybe they don't want to talk about. It depends, because sometimes you're convinced that this will make you happy, the position will make you happy, the money will make you happy, the power will make you happy. So sometimes they'll read the book and they'll be like, yeah, let's see, maybe, once I reach there, I'll reach here and then I'll tell you how this does not work. But at the same time, I've discovered, and I remember that quote, I remember the quote, I don't remember who said it, but that all the greatest things have already been written, right? Everything is in the books. You can buy the books on happiness, numerous of them, as a textbook, as a scientific book like Happiness Is blah, 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 and what to do, as well as some fiction books like my own, which takes a story and then takes you through somebody else's examples. But of course, we read, we learn. We also can read. There was a book about people who are over 90, and then they were asking them about secrets in life, of what would make you happy if you look back at your long life, and they all pretty much say the same thing about working less, paying more attention to family, feeling happy, enjoying the journey. But what happens to us, the younger you are, the more time you think you have, and the less attention you pay to happiness and challenges and mental health problems. So ideally, I want everybody to read. I understand not everybody is ready for it, but I think the book should always be there just in case people might consider that, there is something more, and there might be ways of feeling happier and making life a little better. So that's
Absolutely. And I'll tell, this is, again, I'll repeat what I said in the beginning. Lana is a end-to-end read. Once you start reading, you won't put it down, and it's a very easy read, so you'll enjoy it. That's what my feedback was, and of course, like I said, take a lot from it.
I
So
aimed for it to be easy because I don't like I love reading, but and I do consider myself a very educated person, but the big words sometimes, at the end of the day was not working for me. So I said, I'm making it as easy as possible. And for the children, and not even children, I think young adults like 16 and above, I think that would be a great start. Also, because as you mentioned, I think it's a good start to consider what might come next. And 16 and mommy and daddy issues, they come a lot. So you just want to play someone. So maybe it's a good start. And
right.
I think I was inspired by the books of Paulo Coelho, like many people when they, especially young adults, when they read Paulo Coelho one by one. And I think I was inspired by his books as well. And I remember it did help me. Maybe later on, I didn't read that many of his works, but in the beginning, I was just like fascinated with all the philosophies and how it's written. So yes, I think from young to old and beyond, I don't know, anybody can enjoy. So that's
awesome. So before we let you go, it's almost out of time. We're going to do what we do in every Sunday webinar, which is, so we will end. Before we end, of course, what we do every single week is we do 3 chants of Om, which is basically connecting your body, mind, and soul to the cosmic energy. So everybody who's here, please join me. And I learned something new from our last webinar, which is this is Om. This is combining your body, mind, and soul. So if anybody wants to do it, you can. Totally up to you. It's like that. So just putting this together. Thank you so much, Tatsiana, for your time, and lots and lots of best wishes for a wonderful journey for your book. It's out there now. It's now had its own life for people to start living it, enjoying it, and just changing a life. If they're like not a lot, if not a lot, by a little bit at least.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was awesome. And thank you so much for reading my book in the first place. I know, first time asking people to read it actually is also challenging. So I'm really happy that you enjoyed, and please enjoy your copies as well. And for anybody who wants to get a copy, it's available on Amazon pretty much in any country where Amazon is available, and of course in India as well. Awesome. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.